My name's Damien Kill. I'm a senior lecturer in exercise and sports science down in MMU Cheshire. These students get 4 case studies through the year. Last week they finished their first one and then they're moving on to the second one now, which builds on that first one. This session is actually is fairly unique in the sense that it's the very first time that they see this case study. So each group's working on exactly the same case study. But within that group, they allocate each other certain roles. So in the last case study, they allocated roles, but this time I'm rotating the roles around so that they each kind of get an opportunity to experience being the discussion leader, for instance, or the scribe, or the timekeeper, or the skeptic, or whatever it might be that they actually kind of want to. And I think it's important for them to experience or have the opportunity to experience different roles, so they can actually at least almost try different aspects of their personality out as they kind of go through the learning process. It's not just about the knowledge and the content, it's about the process that they go through and the skills that they pick up. And every single week they'll go through a self and a peer assessment. So I've put together some Google spreadsheets for each of the groups, and then every week, retrospectively, they'll do a self-assessment, but then also they'll have a peer assessment, an open peer assessment, so they'll sit there and have a conversation about how they performed in that week and whether there's anything they can actually improve on. And I think it's important that it's open so that they can actually they understand and they learn about, okay, well, perhaps I didn't quite, fulfill my potential during that week, and maybe I kind of dropped the ball a little bit and kind of need to kind of pick it up for next week. And I think that's quite a nice process, and it allows me to kind of monitor that, so I can access that, and while they're answering the questions, I can actually then go around and challenge and kind of say, well, what do you mean? Is that an appropriate number to kind of give yourself? Do you think you're better or worse? And ask questions kind of specifically for that individual. There are actually so many benefits. It must be so boring to sit there and listen to me talk for an hour. So why would you ever want to do that when you can actually be involved in a case study which is relatively realistic for the jobs that they want to do, and therefore kind of stimulates their interest a lot more. They are active in the learning process. It's not just about passively sitting there listening to me talk about something that I think is important. They're actively going and searching for information that they think is important to actually solve this case study. And I think they learn a lot more about the skills that are required for learning and for higher education. And I actually learn quite a lot from them in terms of what they need and what they, how can I help them in a better way. So I think it's actually quite a reciprocal process in that sense. So I think problem-based learning I would definitely recommend. It's actually quite hard work because there's a lot of planning that goes into it, but it is actually really quite rewarding, and you see them grow through the year, and that's actually really quite nice.
I'm David Wright. I'm a lecturer in motor control and sports psychology here at MMU. Sort of arrived at MMU last September, and Damien said this was the style of teaching that we were going to go for. I didn't know a huge amount about what problem-based learning was at that particular moment in time. So it took me a while to sort of get my head around how it worked. Sort of sat at the back of a few of Damien's sessions and kind of watched what he was doing, how he was interacting with the students. It was definitely a bit of an eye-opener. Like I say, it was something I didn't really know too much about what problem-based learning was. As a relatively new lecturer, is that definitely I had the view that it was my role to be the information provider. And of course with problem-based learning that's not the case. It's much more the emphasis on the students finding out the information for themselves. So every time you sort of speak to the students, you ask them a question, they give you an answer, and then they immediately want to know, is that right or is it wrong? And that's not what we want to be getting across. We want them to be working out for themselves whether it's right or wrong. So trying to develop that effective questioning style to guide them to where they needed to get to without specifically telling them was something I found a little bit of a challenge. It definitely took me a good couple of months practice before I got comfortable doing it. I think it's definitely a beneficial way for the students to learn, problem-based learning. The emphasis is much more on them going to find out the information that they need. And I think that process of actually finding the information for themselves rather than just being told it is very beneficial, because in addition to learning about the content, they're getting quite a lot of other valuable skills. How to find the research that they need, how to interpret it, that kind of thing, as well as the content of the specific motor control content that we're focusing on.
Thank you for watching this Good Practice Exchange film. You can find lots more teaching ideas and resources on our website.